What we're looking at in this video is file management. Remember, file management is organizing and storing your files and documents in specific areas with specific names so that they can be accessed and found more easily. So, if we have a look at Documents folder, accessed either through the desktop, or we can go Start, and in the Start menu you'll have Documents on the top right hand side, and this will open the Documents area. We can see the folder system on the left hand side of the window, and computers will make use of the hierarchical file management system. So it has the root, in this instance it's the desktop, and that contains different subdivisions. So if I just close this one, you see we've got a number of different folders here, and every time you see one of these little arrows it means that there are further folders in that area. Currently got documents in view, so there are quite a few folders within my name, and like I say, what we've got in view on the right hand side of the window is the contents of documents. So it's Active Software, Adobe, ACB, and so on. Like I say, file management is all about enabling you to easily find your documents. So for this video, it's a learning video, so we're going to go into the ACB folder, it's the Adult Education College Bexley, and just to make you aware, the left mouse button is not currently working on my mouse for some bizarre reason. If I try double clicking, nothing happens, so if I right click and then explore, that opens that folder. We can always see where we are through the address line at the top of the Windows Explorer. So the current academic year is 10-11, so if I go inside here, and we're currently in the summer term. Another way that you can navigate your file structure is through the folders pane. See, we've got here a list of exactly where we are, currently in academic year 10-11. If I want to get into summer, all I'd have to do is single left click on that folder, and then the contents is displayed on the right hand side. This is a computing course, so if I open the computing folder, and the course is Intro to Computing Extended, so again open that one, and here we have all of the folders and documents that we're going to perhaps make use of in the course. And again, on this left hand side area you can see how the filing structure works. We've got documents at the top, and then a number of different folders, then the ACB, academic year 10-11, computers, intro to computing, extended, and then each of these files. To make use of the file management system, the easiest way is to save documents with appropriate file names. The second way is to arrange them after they've been created. So what we're going to do here is have a look at moving folders around, moving files around, and creating folders. I have kitchen laid on for this, so if I open this, and imagine what a kitchen is. Inside a kitchen you'll have cupboards and cutlery trays and plate racks and such, which is all we've got here. So we have a number of folders to contain specific items, and a number of free-floating items as well. Hopefully this analogy works and it makes sense. So within a kitchen, excuse me, you'd have specific areas for specific things, and that's exactly the same as in a computer. You have specific folders for specific types of files. We can explore each of these folders. If I just have a quick look in my cupboard, and so we have a mug and a teaspoon. The teaspoon shouldn't be there. And then I can click on the back button to go back to the kitchen. And the cutlery tray, I have a fork and a knife. In the plate rack, I have 2 plates and a spoon for some bizarre reason. And then in the sink, I have quite a few things because I've not done the washing up recently. So, what we're going to explore now is how we can move files around. I have here a cup, a glass, and that's it. And that should all be in the cupboard. So to move things, the easiest way is to say cup, or click on the document itself, and then do be aware we have the organize menu, which allows us to organize things. You can also, and this is not displayed by default, have the menu toolbar as well. To turn that on or off, we go organize, layout, and then menu bar. If it's ticked, then the menu bar is displayed. If it's unticked, then it's not displayed. And like I say, by default, it won't be displayed. So I can go to organize, and I say cut, and that grays out, or ghosts, the icon for cup. And then if I go back and go into the cupboard, I've forgotten I don't left click, and then say organize and paste. And what that does is move the object from its original start point, from the place where it was being held, and transfers it to the new area. So I have a teaspoon here that shouldn't be in this cupboard. So again I say organize and cut, go back into the kitchen, go into the cutlery tray because it's a spoon, and then again organize and paste. So if I go into the sink, and again I have a glass, and again that should be in the cupboard. In this instance, if I left click to highlight it, I can then on the keyboard press and hold Control, then tap the X key, and that's the shortcut for cutting an object. So Control X, then go back into cupboard, double clicking won't work that time, and paste it. The shortcut keys are pressing and holding Control and then tapping the V key. So I've now got everything I need to in the cupboard. If we now go back into the sink, and I have a number of forks, knives and spoons, we'll deal with those in a second. I have a plate here. If I select the plate, and a third way in which we can move things around, because we have these folders displayed here, is dragging and dropping. Dragging and dropping is a useful tool, and remember we've seen that quite well in playing solitaire. If you press and hold the left mouse button, then I can drag this object around. If I now place that over the plate rack folder, can you see I get a helpful hint popping up saying move to plate rack, and there's a plate, so if I release the left mouse button, it's now moved that object. Please do be aware if you're dragging and dropping between two different types of drive, say you had your hard drive in one as one drive and a removable storage drive as the second, dragging and dropping would not move the object, it would copy the object. If I just check that that's there, so if I click on plate rack, and there's a plate rack, and you see I've got a spoon in the wrong place. So if I take my spoon, and again I can just drag it over to the cutlery tray and move it across. If I go back into the sink, I've got all of these forks, knives and spoons. If there are a number of different objects that you want to move all into the same area, we can position the mouse cursor to the bottom of that area or in any clear area, press and hold the left mouse button and then create a selection area along all of those objects. And that's selected everything in one go, and I can simply position the mouse cursor over any one of these documents, press and hold the left mouse button and then drag all of them at the same time. And I now have nothing in the sink. I've done all my washing up. So if I go back into the kitchen, we still have a few things to move around. So in this instance, we've got plate 4, and that again needs to be on the plate rack, so I can again make use of dragging and dropping. If I position the mouse cursor over the object, and this time all I have to do is drag it over the icon for plate rack, and again release the left mouse button. I'm just going to quickly check the contents of each of my folders to make sure there's nothing in the wrong place. I know the sink is empty, but I'll check it anyway. Yeah. So that's moving things around. We have a number of other items here: a greaseproof paper, paper cup cases, and tin foil. First thing we're going to do is correct mistakes or rename objects. So to rename a file, all we have to do is position the mouse cursor over the object, left click to select it, and if you leave a few seconds gap between left clicking again, you'll notice that I've now got the rename area up. I have the name surrounded by a black box and it's all highlighted in blue. If I start typing on the keyboard, it will overtype all of that text. I don't need to overtype it all. All I need to do is put an extra O in the word proof to make it spelt correctly. So if I click the left cursor key, I can move leftwards and just put the O in. Again, to confirm that, I can either left click anywhere in the area or press enter on the keyboard. The second way to rename files is to right click to get the context specific menu and then select rename from the pop out menu. In this case I need to replace the Z with an S. So if I position the mouse cursor just to the right of the highlighted area, single left click, and that gives me the cursor. I can press backspace, put the S in, and then press enter to confirm that. So that's renaming an object. Now unfortunately these items don't fit into any of these areas, so we need a new folder, and we're going to call it a drawer. And again we can use the organize option for this. If I say organize and new folder, I get a new folder pop up, and immediately the name new folder is editable. So if I type in drawer and press enter, and these three items are all going to go into the drawer. So if I highlight them all, I can just drag and drop to put them all in there. So that's creating folders. We can have another go at creating folders with the cutlery tray. Excuse me. In this instance we have a cutlery tray, but we also have a separate section for knives, forks and spoons. So we need to create 3 new folders called fork, knife and spoon. We could either use the organize route. A second option is to right click, select new from the context specific menu, and then folder from the pop out menu. So again gives a new folder, and if I type in fork, and I can select the forks, create a second new folder and call it knife. Should call it knives, but I'm calling it knife. And then one more for spoons. So, there we have an uncluttered kitchen. And do remember, it's not a real kitchen. It's merely an example of what you can do with file management, so we can make sure that everything has an appropriate name and that it is saved in an appropriate place. It's in the cupboard. In the cupboard, we have our what are they called? Things for holding drinks. In the cutlery tray, we have our separate sections for each type of object. We have our knives in the knife tray, spoons in the spoon tray, and forks in the fork tray. Then in the drawer, we have sundry items, such as tinfoil. In the plate rack, we have plates. There's nothing in the sink, because we've done all the washing up. So like I say, it is just for making sure everything is saved in the right place. The other side of this, so this is going through Windows Explorer. Once you have a file constructed or built for your specific objects, what you need to remember is to save the objects into that specific place. If I open Word, and I'm going to save a new document, so I'm going to call it Tablespoon. I'm going to remember how to spell spoon. And where would a tablespoon live? It would live in the spoons section of the cutlery tray. So we say Office button and Save As, and do remember when you're using Word, clicking Save or Save As for a brand new document will always open the Save As dialog box eventually. And this is where we have to make sure that we're saving in the right place. So the final destination is inside AECB, and again I can't left click or double click, so if I click open, having selected the folder, it's academic year 10-11, summer, computing, intro to computers extended, kitchen, cutlery tray, spoons, and then we can save it in the right place. And because everything else has lowercase file names, I'm going to rename this tablespoon with a lowercase t, and again because the file name is highlighted, all I'd have to do is either type over the top to overwrite it, or I could click in between the T and the A, backspace to get rid of that T, and then put in a lowercase one. Save the document, and I know the document's been saved because the document name has changed up in the top of the window. If I close Word and go into my cutlery tray and go into the spoons, I can see it's sitting in the right place. So that's file management, organising files and folders to make sure that they can be easily found.